Talk about Unity. Let's talk about Unity for a second. This will cheer us up.
Unity is a dumpster fire.
This picture, I think, is going to tell the whole story. Okay. We are introducing a Unity runtime fee that is based upon each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user. We chose this because each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also downloaded. Also, we believe that an initial install-based fee allows creators to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement. You can't see it at the bottom, but that's what it says. Here's a chart, a table, if you will. Actually, a table.
Wait.
Here's a table. Look at this.
An
table.
initial install-based fee allows creator to keep the what? What?
Allows to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement.
As opposed to like a revenue, like I guess they're saying as opposed to like a revenue sharing thing, which I don't think Unity does.
I don't know.
Where I'm pretty sure Unreal, I've heard, has a 5%. Like they just take 5%.
They just take 5%.
Like,
yeah.
If you use Unreal Engine, they just take a 5% royalty, and that's it.
Which is like pretty simple to follow. It's like, oh, okay, just take 5%. Like whatever I make, you take 5%. Whatever. Because if I charge nothing, if it's free, Unreal's gonna be like, okay, well, it's free. For there's no charge to it, I guess. Okay. Check your eligibility. I love these tables, by the way. Love it. Everybody thinks these tables are really easy to follow. Your game must meet both revenue and install thresholds for the fee to apply. Here's your revenue threshold. Unity Personal and Unity Plus, $200,000. Install threshold, $200,000 lifetime. This is last 12 months, by the way, for the revenue. $1 million for Unity Pro. Unity Enterprise is also $1 million. Well, it's the same. It's the same for Pro and Enterprise.
Yep, same.
Why didn't they just put those together in the same column?
Because I think the breakdown on the next.
Oh, the calculate the fee.
The fee is less for the higher tier, I think.
Okay, maybe they. Oh, here we go. Okay. New installs per month, standard rate. So if your game meets the thresholds, here we go. 15 cents per install. $12.5 per install. If you're hitting these certain areas, if you get a million new installs per month, you pay 2 cents per install. If you're on the Pro and Enterprise, you get 1 cent. If you're on Personal and Plus, it's 20 cents. For anything. It's just 20 cents for anything. Okay. So you have to meet a revenue threshold for your game, for your project. And then you have to meet an install threshold lifetime. And then once you hit both of those, they start checking your installs per month, and per install they charge. But that means you have to have the revenue threshold hit, right? You have to make, for the last 12 months, $200,000 or $1 million in the other cases.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess if your project is a free project and you're not charging anything, I guess this doesn't occur? Is what I'm getting at.
Well, if there's no monetization in the game and you don't.
If there's no monetization,
literally zero money on it.
Zero
so it's
money.
Like basically charity at that point.
It's charity at that point, but it's like a school project, that kind of idea. It's like it's a project that's completely free. You're sharing it.
And then you wouldn't.
Then you wouldn't do that. But if your game has any revenue streams in it, which it's a game. It's a game. It's gonna have a revenue stream.
Most people make games to make money.
To try and make money, obviously. So if they hit in the lifetime of the game $200,000 and they hit 200,000 installs, you're gonna start hitting that. That's for the Personal and Unity Plus. I appreciate these tables. However, I appreciate them trying to break this down so it's less confusing. But man, there's so much here that just you couldn't have even just simplified it further. So what happens when they send a bill to somebody? Oh, Genshin's in Unity? Oh. Yikes. MiHoYo is going to be very upset. I'm guessing MiHoYo has a special deal with Unity. My guess is they have a special deal, and as a part of the special deal, they do not go under these terms. That is what my guess is. Because MiHoYo probably knew about this ahead of time and said, if you make us go under this, we'll move or something. We'll just do something different. We'll figure something out. I'm sure they like definitely have a different deal with Unity than being under this. I'm sure this is for other stuff that isn't like kind of that like big MiHoYo or Nintendo. Nintendo has a different deal. They're not under this deal. Guaranteed. They have a separate contract set up. Completely separate. Unity would be batshit crazy if they tried to say, by the way, you're using this table now to MiHoYo.
Well, I think okay, here's the big thing with this, by the way, and the big argument here is like, well, one, this like screws over mostly the big developers, the Nintendos, the Microsofts, the MiHoYo, Sony, whatever. This is like, obviously they're not going to be happy about it, and as you said, maybe they just have a separate contract on the side. We don't know, but assuming that they do like actually apply to this and have to pay this, yeah, they make a lot of money, but they're probably on the top tier, the enterprise tier,
yes.
And you know, it kind of becomes like a bit of a drop in the bucket, and like they're not going to be happy about it, but it's not a huge deal, I don't think.
It's the mid-tier and the small tier
people that are on the first tier plan, where, and you're making like, and you've made 200,000 or more, so you actually apply to this fee, and then you get dinged 20 cents per install.
Yeah.
So you're literally losing like 20% on, or yeah, so like every time somebody installs the game, you lose 20 cents.
You just lose 20 cents. So if you
just have to pay Unity.
You just have to pay Unity because they installed the game. Because they're running the Unity runtime. And so therefore you have to pay 20 cents. I don't know what the original contracts were, actually, to be clear. I don't know if it was just
I'm pretty sure it was just the subscription. There was no fucking install fee. And the big problem with this is this was just a huge breach of trust, basically, where it's like you have companies that have made games in Unity and they're saying like, okay, they're not going to charge you retroactively for installs, but any previous installs count towards the install threshold. And then any installs after that, then you get dinged for.
Yeah.
And that, to me, again, I'm not a contract lawyer and I have no idea how this works. And maybe there was something in Unity's terms of service that basically says we can change this whenever and however we want.
Yep.
But in that case, that's complete bullshit. And it's a complete breach of trust where it's basically like, well, at any time, Unity could just pull the rug out from under us and just say, yep, fuck you, pay us more money. Where it's like, again, especially for like games that were previously made in Unity and now you're going to get dinged for them, or games that are currently being made in Unity and are scheduled to be released in the next, like, let's say, year or two. You didn't know about this, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, you know, you're going to have to pay this install fee thing. And it's just like, again, to me, I'm like, how is this legal that they can just, like, change the terms of the contract, like, on... Like, I just don't see how this stands. Like, if they obviously you don't want to go to court with Unity because they are a big company. I'm sure they have powerful lawyers, but like, I don't know how this stands up in court. I really don't, because you can't just like have a contract and these are the terms, and then the one side just decides to change the contract without consent from the other side.
Yeah,
basically.
the other side has to sign off on it.
I just don't know how it stands up in court, especially with the retroactive part of it, where it's like, again, any game that has come out already on Unity, and then you're going to start getting dinged for it, or any game that was in production already through Unity, and you didn't know about this, and they're just going to ding you for it now when it comes out. Like, again, I just don't know. It's like... Yeah, like Nintendo and Sony and MiHoYo, like, I don't know what the contract looks like. I don't know the terms, but it's like, I'm pretty sure Unity doesn't want to go to court with Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft, and
No.
again, maybe they negotiated another deal, like you said, on the side, so they don't apply and whatever. But like, again, this just cannot be legal. Like, I just don't see how any way that what they're doing is actually has any legal standing whatsoever, because it just doesn't make sense that you could just pull the rug out from under people like this when you have an agreement. Like, you sign the terms of service, and then they can just change the terms of service like you on that. It's just like, and yeah, a lot of companies releasing statements saying, you know, we're not gonna work in either, like, this is screwing me over, or they actually have the resource and they're like, we're gonna change to a different engine. The dev for Cult of the Lamb, that game was made in Unity. They're like, yeah, we're taking the game down. Buy it now, because we're taking the game down on January 1st. You're not gonna be able to buy it. You're not gonna be able to buy it anymore.
Yeah, because that's
not dealing with this bullshit.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I'm surprised they're just taking the game down completely, but it makes sense. Like, it just, you know what? You're not agreeing to this contract, so therefore you're just done. You take it down once the contract ends, and people can do that, by the way. Like, my guess is you will have to accept these new terms. So therefore, like, let's say Cult of the Lamb. Cult of the Lamb doesn't accept it. So they're just like, okay, we don't accept. January 1st, game's coming down. We don't accept. We're moving on to a different thing, so that you can't ding us anymore, because we're just going to move on. We don't accept the contract.
Well, it seems like if your game is up on any store and was made in Unity, you automatically accept the terms of the contract after January 1st.
Which is why you would have to take it down. That is your signal to say you don't agree. Which obviously sounds really bad. So
there were a lot of games made in Unity, I'm pretty sure.
I have no doubt.
Humankind was made in Unity.
No doubt. I have no doubt that there are plenty of games made in Unity and Unreal and all that. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to speak to the legality of it, but based on just, they throw this as the new terms to people, and they're like, if you don't, January 1st, you're accepting this, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So,
like, this goes into effect January 1st.
This is going to go into effect.
Any new installs after January 1st apply to this. And
right.
Again, as far as the threshold goes, any previous installs already count towards that.
For all these games, I know I'm speaking the obvious here, but it's not as simple as just swapping the engine just like that. It's not that simple. So they can't just swap the engine.
No, yeah, you basically have to remake the game in a new engine, and also, like, a lot of these studios, like, their team is, like, trained in Unity, and they are trained to use Unity, and they would have to completely relearn a different engine, like, if they were to swap engines. It's not a simple process.
Right.
Ghost, they did clarify that, like, for things like Game Pass, the publisher would pay the fee and not the dev. So, like, if a game is downloaded on Game Pass, for example, Microsoft would pay the install fee.
By the way, Microsoft immediately probably went to Unity and said,
pissed off about that.
No, they're going to say, you're going to make a separate deal with us, or we're going to have some problems.
They're like, we're not paying. Like, that's like, yeah, for Microsoft, that just, like, fucks over Game Pass. It's like, you know how many people to, like, install random shit on Game Pass and, like, never play it? Or, whatever. It's like, there's no way Microsoft is accepting this. They're like, yeah, this is bullshit. There's absolutely no way.
A couple lawyers called Unity and said, hey guys, how's it going? So we're going to get a separate deal, right? Because if we don't, we're going to have a problem. And you're not going to like being a problem for us. And Unity shit their pants immediately and said, oh yeah, of course, we're already working on it. All the big ones do the same thing. They're all making a separate contract. They're not doing this. Nobody at Microsoft is like, oh, well, we're going to have to do this now. We'll sign us up. We're okay. They're immediately calling Unity and saying, so we're going to get a separate deal, right? They got a separate deal. They're not going to have to deal with this. The only people that are going to be affected are not the big fish. The big fish have the resources and the just the muscle to be able to say, so
you just bully Unity, like, we're not paying
Unity. We're not paying this.
We're not paying your stupid bullshit insult.
You're going to give us a separate deal. You're just going to give us a separate deal. Otherwise, this is going to be a problem. And same thing. Nintendo, all the ones that are using Unity that are really big fish, They do the same thing. They're going to go to Unity. They'll get a separate deal going that swings better in the favor of the bigger company, not Unity. The only person that Unity is affecting in this case is the mid-tier developer. The mid-tier developer doesn't have, or publisher, whatever, doesn't have the muscle to deal with this. They can't just bully Unity like Microsoft can. And they're in these thresholds. Mid-tier people are affected. MiHoYo 100% immediately said, "You're giving us a new contract or no more waifus," and hung the phone. And they just hung up immediately. Yeah. There's no chance. There's no shot. So the mid-tier people are going to be like, okay, well, either we just have to do this because we can't just make our game like that. Like, it's not that simple. It's not as simple as like, oh, I can just cancel Netflix and move to Hulu. Bang, easy. It's not simple. So that part of it to me means that Unity knew that. Unity knew it's not going to be simple for people to just move. Yeah. So they know they know that, okay, well, either they're just gonna have to remake their game or they're gonna have to do our deal. So either way, like, I think we're just winning here.
It's just a big fuck you to like mid-tier like indie developer.
It
right?
is.
Like, it's just, and like, if you're a new up and coming game developer, don't use Unity. You find a different engine.
You can use a different engine. 100%.
Pay Unreal's 5% fee, or I hear there's another one. I don't remember what it's called. A newer one that people are switching to. I don't remember what it's called though.
5% doesn't sound bad compared to you have to start paying per installs. You have to do subscriptions. It just sounds like a hassle now. 5% doesn't sound that bad anymore.
By the way, just another example of just like complete corporate greed and short-sightedness. They're looking for profit in the short term, and they are not thinking at all about the long term. And
this is
apparently, like, the CEO and some of the people on the board of Unity, they sold a bunch of stock like last week before they were gonna make this announcement, because they knew their stock was gonna die, was gonna dip when they made this announcement, because they knew how fucking awful it was.
I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate that you can just do that when you're able to.
Insider trading, Omega lol, like.
I hate that you can just fucking do that. That makes me so mad. So yeah, for the CEO, he's like, oh, well, doesn't matter for me. I already sold my shares at the top end. What a fucking dick.
I think the CEO sold like 2,000 shares or something like that. He sold a whole shit ton of stock.
Yeah, that's a lot. 2,000 at whatever the price point was, which I imagine it was
like $50 or $60. I think it's like 30 something. It's like 30 something now after the dip, but I think it was like up 50,
but it was like 50
range.
Yeah, that's a shit ton. Yeah, he just made a shit ton of money. Just what a dick. Anyway, well, what else was
the guy, the Unity guy, by the way, apparently I think it's the CEO of Unity, but if it's not the CEO, it's one of the C's.
Yeah, one of the executives.
He was apparently he was, I think, CEO of EA before, and he was the guy that said, like, we want players to pay to reload their gun in Battlefield. It's that guy.
Not shocked. Not shocked at all.
Dude's a complete piece of shit. Like,
dude's just like, I can monetize anything. That's the idea. He's like, what can I monetize? Well, I can monetize anything.
How can I make more
There
money?
are certain people that are, we'll call it greedy, that know what to monetize and how. They're like, we know that if we can monetize this and this and this, it's not inappropriate. Then there are the people like that who are like, oh, I can just monetize anything.
I just monetize anything.
I'll just monetize anything. You want to install my game? $10.
I don't care if people are pissed off. Like,
you have to buy my game, then pay for the install, then pay a subscription to use the thing. Then you can only use a certain number of hours as part of that subscription. So there's 3 tiers of subscription. That kind of person, you just hate that. You don't want to be a part of that. There are certain people that know, like, okay, like Unreal. Here's a good example. How do they monetize? 5%. It's a very simple idea.
I don't know if there's a subscription, or like you have to buy the engine or something like that first. I don't know if there's
even so. Okay, let's say you buy the engine and pay 5%. That to me is not inappropriate. It's like, yeah, you have to buy the engine to use it, sure. And when you release a game on said engine, you pay a royalty because you're using the engine. Whatever. okay.
Probably cheaper than making your own engine.
Probably cheaper than
Because
making your own
that's,
engine.
you know,
Not an offensive amount of revenue streams. That to me, like, yeah, it's monetized and you want things to be as low cost and efficient as possible, but
and it's like
that doesn't sound bad to me.
it's 5% for everybody. So if you make a shit ton of money, it's 5%, and if you don't make very much money, it's still 5%. So it's the same chunk no
Yep.
matter what. Obviously, it's more money the more money you make, but it's still 5% no matter what.
Even if you make like a very small amount from your game, a small amount, I'm just gonna say like really small, like even if you're like some random person, you sell your game, you make $10,000. Like 5% of that, like, are you really gonna be like upset because you paid 5% of that after making your game?
You pay 500. You play 500. You made 10,000. You pay 500.
Like it doesn't sound that bad because you use the engine to make your game. Like it doesn't sound too bad to just do that. So, and even if you made like $1 million and you had to pay the 5% there, like you don't care. You made $1 million. Yeah. So
you pay 50. You pay 50K.
Like,
epic. Like
whatever. Like I made $1 million. I don't care. So that's like, that to me is like, that's like a better revenue stream. The guy that's like, you have to pay to reload your gun, that's like sweaty monetization. Like sweaty gamer, the gamer again, that's like going hard. Like, that's
totally screws over. Like, it's really especially bad. This is for like freemium games, right? For like free to play mobile games and stuff like that. They just want a bunch of people to install it and then hope they hook a whale at some point.
You're trying to hook a whale. Yep.
Oh, and by the way, apparently, they said that installing and then like deleting and then reinstalling won't count as an additional install. But if someone like owns a game on Steam and then installs it like on a laptop and a desktop and a Steam Deck and whatever, that's all a separate install per device.
Oh, that's dumb. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
And by the way, how they get the data like for the installs apparently is proprietary, and it's just trust me bro, we'll just bill you for how many installs, and it's just trust me bro on how many installs there were. Like, it's complete bullshit. Like, again, I just don't know how it holds up like in court. If someone were to actually go to court over this, is like, this is just like completely unreasonable in every aspect. I'm just like,
it's kind of
how can you just trust me bro and we'll bill you for the installs? It's like,
it's kind of amazing how, I'm just going to pretend the CEO made the decision. So the CEO made the decision, knew it was going to be a bad decision, sold his shares, and then just did it anyway. It's amazing how they knew. They're like, I know this is going to make me short-term money for the company. I also know it's a bad idea and it's not going to be looked at well. I better sell my shares while they're high now, and I'm still going to make the decision. There's a certain kind of person. And this is really messed up for me to say. I'm just going to say it. It's really messed up. There's a certain kind of person you hope gets hit by a bus. That's the kind of person I hope that gets hit by a bus. There's a certain kind of person I do is like that. You can't do hope that something unfortunate happens here. Do hope that is like a certain kind of evil right there. You know it's a bad decision. You capitalize on it because you know it's a bad decision, and you still do it. It's really messed up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they walk this back at all. But I don't know. I think this might just kill Unity. Whoa. To be honest.
What the heck happened to our stream there? That was weird. Not only that, but the Twitch player broke, and now this broke.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. Okay.
Still coming through, but
that was weird. Can you... Where's our screens? Okay, there. You can see it now.
Yeah.
I think I know what happened. That was weird. So I tried to move the music to a different window, and it immediately freaked out.
Just freaked out.
Yeah. It just freaked out. Now
as far as the pirated things go, again, in their just trust me bro, they're saying their proprietary way of tracking installs has a way of detecting whether it's pirated or not, but that seems like BS to me too.
Our proprietary.
Again, I feel like this could be the beginning of the end for Unity. I think like a lot of devs are just gonna move away from Unity, and they're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm not using this.
No, I
like,
think
this is just.
I think if you're a dev, you should just stop using it
And it's
try and move
again
forward
like it's a
somewhere else.
complete breach of trust by then, because it's like, well, if they did this, what are they gonna do next? Are they gonna charge more? Are they gonna start charging more?
Yep.
What, how are they gonna pull the rug out from under us again? Like,
Man.
it's just.
By the way, Cult of the Lamb just saying outright, we're just gonna not
Oh yeah,
keep the game up.
They literally they tweeted, they're like, yeah, you better buy it now because we're taking the game down on January 1st. Like, they're like, we're just taking it down. Like, there's just no. I mean, look, maybe they were memeing, but it didn't freaking seem like it.
No, I mean, I think that I think again that says a lot, because that game, like, obviously still has some popularity to it.
That game had quite a cult following when it came out, no pun intended.
Quite a following. And also, it also signals that developer won't be using Unity in the future, so they're going to switch to something else, whatever that is.
Yeah, then I think they said they have more projects in the pipeline, and they're going to switch to a different engine.
They're going to switch to a different engine. So, I mean, just bad decision making. Just all bad decision making. So anyway, yeah. I think this is a short-term gain for a long-term fail. That's this kind of decision.
Yeah, I think if they don't roll this back, I think Unity might actually just die from this, to be honest. It'll probably take some time, but I think
it'll take time, but
just
devs aren't going to want to use it now.
Bite the dust. Like, nobody's going to want to use the engine. No up-and-coming developer will want to use the engine.
Yep.
The big companies aren't going to want to pay their stupid fee, and
yep.
It sounds like a bunch of companies, at least if they have the resources, are going to try and migrate away from it, because it's just like, even if they do walk this back, a bunch of developers are going to move away from it, because they're like, I can't trust you anymore, because you could just pull some shit like this again. We just can't trust you as a company anymore if you just decide you're going to change the terms of your contract on a whim.
Yep.
Like,
I agree. I 100% agree. I think when some companies get away with this, but I don't think Unity is going to get away with this.
Not in the long term. Again, they may have some short-term gain from this, but I think in the long term it might just kill the company and the engine.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
I think in the long term this is going to really screw them over. So